Welcome, Solara, here with another blackout message. I hope you guys are doing well today. As I record this, it is Monday, March 24th. Happy New Year. I haven't been here since the new year came in, the astrological new year, so I hope you guys are doing well. I know the energies are very intense right now. We are in an eclipse portal. We're moving ever closer to the new moon in Aries, and it feels like there's a lot of stuff, especially since the full moon in Virgo, which kind of acts as an extraction portal. It feels like a lot of stuff is dying right now. A lot of things are dying, and a lot of things are wanting to die, and a lot of things that need to die are trying to cling on for dear life. But yeah, that's kind of the overall energy of now that I've been picking up on. So anyway, I have some downloads. I'm going to get into them quickly. I don't have too much time today, so I might get into cards and I might not. Before I get into that, I want to take a moment to say welcome. Thank you. Welcome if you're visiting for the first time. Welcome if you are a returning subscriber, if you've been with me from day one or very recently or somewhere along the way. I appreciate your presence here. I appreciate your love, and I appreciate your support. A big shout out to the group of beautiful women who joined me yesterday for my Lilith TAROTSTROLOGY group Q&A. The Lilith and the Chiron TAROTSTROLOGYs the past 2 weeks have been sold out. I will be doing another Lilith again this weekend, but this time it will be on Saturday, March 29th. So all information for how to join for the Lilith TAROTSTROLOGY Q&A this Saturday, March 29th, will be in through a link in the description box below. I'm keeping these specific TAROTSTROLOGY group Q&As very, very small, only 4 people per session, so that we can really dive in, get to know one another, and talk about important things that you can, feel comfortable within the group environment, opening up about, etc. So it's important for me that whether I host 4 people, 8 people, or I do a one-to-one, that I create a safe space for you to get to your next level in ascension. So very happy to welcome more of you this Saturday to my Lilith TAROTSTROLOGY group Q&A, because Lilith definitely got some stuff to say. She's been coming in strongly very recently, as have many of the what we call the dark mother deities. So Lilith has a lot to speak to all of us, not just women, and she does so beautifully also through your black moon Lilith point in your chart. So let me just pull up my downloads, because I heard that somebody has until 4/4 to come clean. They have until 4/4 to come clean. I heard that after that their redemption that was tied to how they played out this contract with you is lost. It's irredeemable. And understand and overstand that the reason for this is because a lot of the Akashic, when you get to the new year, in the astrological calendar and other significant events, sometimes we go through Akashic updates, and the Akashic updates will have to do with how the decisions we've made, the decisions other beings have made, that keep us either contracted or breaks the contract, or the contract expires, etc. And there's an update in the Akashics due to that. But what I heard very specifically here was that they have until 4/4 to come clean. Another date that might be of significance is 8/4. So this is 8/4 British, right? So that would be the 8th of April. So in America, I guess it would be 4/8. Okay, so what I also heard was they chose this for themselves, contractually speaking. They chose this for themselves, and they are reneging on the path they made to their own soul, in which you were there to help them achieve. But they resisted and rejected you because they have ultimately betrayed their own souls for the illusions of this world. Your contract to them is fulfilled. either way. You were but an instrument and tool agreed upon to help them find their way home to their own salvation. And in many ways, they were there to help you do the same, even if they did so karmically. They thought they were sacrificing you, but in actuality, they've only ended up sacrificing themselves. And now they will be trapped in the lower planes as hungry ghosts. This is what I heard. Now they will be trapped in the lower planes as hungry ghosts, ever desiring, but never really getting, ever avoiding their own souls while seeking to take from others cosmological riches and becoming more and more lost and hungry in their pursuit. To be fully connected to self is to be fully plugged into source and the ability to therefore be truly satisfied. To continually betray your own soul takes you further away from source and creates a hunger and thirst that can never be satisfied or quenched. So in other words, when we continually make decisions that take us out of ourself, that are self-betrayal, self-rejection, it takes us away from self, but it also takes us away from source. And the farther we move away from self, the more decisions we make that are ultimately betraying who we are divinely, the more insatiable our desire for something becomes. And a lot of the times these beings don't realize, and we don't realize when we're in these scenarios also, that what we are seeking to have satiated is our connection to source. But this world, this material world and all of its illusions has a whole bunch of things to distract us, to make us think that those are the things we want. And the more we pledge our allegiance to chasing after those things, the more we pledge our allegiance to doing that to the detriment of our own souls. In other words, betraying who we are in order to, quote unquote, prosper in these material planes, leads us into soulless valleys, leads us into becoming hungry ghosts. And it feels like this is what is occurring for this person. Now, please understand and overstand, I'm not saying that loving the material planes is bad, enjoying luxury is bad, enjoying money and having lovely things is bad. I'm not saying that at all. I want to be very specific. I'm saying these are beings who have chosen the illusion over themselves. So in other words, they've sacrificed themselves for these things. And there's a huge difference between living on this plane and really valuing and enjoying your time here. And all that includes good sex, good food, good money, travel, all of those things. Those things are here for us to enjoy, but not to the point where we are selling our souls and other beings in order to get things because we feel that in our own divine power, we're not able to call those things in. And this is also how we betray self and how other beings, they betray themselves, is when we fall into that, the myth, the lie, the deception that we need to do this, that we need to do something in order to get what actually already belongs to us. I was taking a walk in the early hours of the morning this morning. Well, not early hours, but for me, early hours, like 7ish this morning. I was walking out and about, and I was in the hubbub of Monday morning, everyone getting to where they're going, children going to school, people going to work. And I was noticing that some people are so tuned into the program of the false matrix that they've completely lost their sense of self and their sense of value. They're running to jobs that they hate. They're running to these jobs in order to get things that ultimately are their birthright, right? And this is what we are here ultimately to return back to the earth, because everything has been so out of balance for so long, right? And this is why we get attacked for doing this, and there's struggle in doing it. But ultimately, the reward for all that we've been through is restoring the earth to her original blueprint, which is that this specific place was here for us to come and enjoy ourselves materially, was here for us to embody the emanation of source that we actually are, and to enjoy all of those things that being in a body affords us. We didn't come here to be slaves. We didn't come here to run around paying debts for things that actually aren't ours. We didn't come here to constantly give of our life force and our resources, our talents, our gift, our power, our time, for beings who, have no value for who we actually are, and just see us as a cog in the machine, or as something that they can get something from. That's not the point. So as I was walking around, the world is full of hungry ghosts right now. It's been full of hungry ghosts, but the hungry ghosts are becoming more and more real as we continue to heal those parts of ourselves that were also under that false matrix spell in the program. And it becomes more obvious to us how we have succumbed so many times to betraying self, in the name of chasing after things that we don't want, or we've been programmed into thinking we want, or that we've placed a higher value on than ourselves. And that's what it really comes down to. It's when we place a higher value on anything outside of self, we will fall into problems with self-betrayal, and therefore disconnecting from source. So being truly... Okay, so let me go back here with my downloads. To continually betray your own soul takes you further away from source, and it creates a hunger and thirst that can never be satisfied or quenched until you plug yourself back in, until you heal past all the programming. So this is what traps beings in loops. They are ever chasing for a hunger to be satisfied, but refuse to do the work to reconnect with source, instead stealing and cheating by grabbing resources from others that they can't replenish. So this is where the energy harvesting, destiny swapping, all of that stuff, that's the umbrella it falls under, right? Their inability to do the healing work to reconnect themselves with source has them tuning into other people's life force and resources, and using them as supply. And as I've said many times before, this whole false matrix system was based upon narcissistic abuse templates, whereby they created bullying structures that they empowered and victimized the masses, and then victim shamed them into compliance with accepting the bullying as being normal behavior. So being truly plugged into source provides infinite supply. This is what Yeshua was teaching the woman at the well. So Yeshua told the woman at the well that she could have I'm going to paraphrase here, but he pretty much told her that she could drink from an everlasting fountain or an everlasting spring, instead of constantly coming back and forth from the well. And she thought he was speaking literally about the well that she was at, but what he was talking about was the infinite supply that comes when you are truly plugged into source. And what else? And also, this is what Yeshua was speaking of in reference to Gehenna, or what many have misquoted as hell. So this is a fate, this hungry ghost thing that I'm talking about. It is a fate that is inevitable for lower consciousness beings who will literally sacrifice their own souls and the infinite supply from source that comes by being fully connected and true to self for the false nourishment put forth on the material planes. And they mistake this false nourishment as being real food and sustenance. But this fake food promotes death. It promotes death. It brings death to the mind, the body, soul, and the spirit, if it is consumed in place of the eternal nourishment provided by source that is only accessible by strict adherence to our individual source blueprints. So I feel like this is coming about if this message is resonating for you already, because many of you, or whoever this message is for, you have found your way back into being plugged into the infinite supply. You have found your way back to being plugged into source and choosing to live in accordance with what that provides for you as you continue to heal. And that is a difficult path to walk in the false matrix. It's a very difficult path to walk, even as the false matrix collapses, because it means that, if you're here, you already know. It means that many of the strategies that were put in place to support their abusive structures that we had to adhere to in order to survive, we become outliers in all of that. And we have to find different ways of doing things, right? And so there is this issue of, dealing with things that other people don't necessarily have to deal with, and also, being outliers. I don't want to say outcasts, but outliers. And so this is, this message is for someone who has chosen to plug into source, and maybe you've reached a milestone in that journey of getting back to your original divine blueprint a lot more recently, I would say, especially in the past first quarter of the year. So from the solstice in December up until this equinox window is what's coming through. So this message, I'm going to come back to the very first download, which is that they have until 4/4 to come clean. And that's because somewhere along the line, because you've risen higher into your true contract, it's broken some kind of contractual agreement you had with someone else. And this has been coming through this weekend also. I'm going to just say it because maybe this is all one message, that it feels like, it feels very much like some of you have reached a milestone in your own personal soul contract, right? So we all have the contracts we drafted with our own souls for this material escapade, for this incarnation. And within those contracts, there are milestones that we get to where certain things get unlocked, certain wisdom, knowledge, gifts, talents, powers, access, unions, all of those things. There's certain levels when we reach, and it occurs as we heal ourselves from the programming and we come back into communion with self. Every level that we go higher in that ability to reconnect and come into union with self, and therefore higher union with source, unlocks something that has been written into our contracts. And it really does feel like it's happening across the board for many of you right now, that you have risen into a time where you have unlocked something because you've reached a major milestone. And I want to say this milestone is something that has been accomplished in very specifically the past 7 to 8 months. The 888 portal was coming through very strongly also this weekend. Your 888 code, some of you were able to fully mature those, and you're about to see them materialized in real time. So think about themes around the 888 portal, what it was you were creating, what it is you were going through, the resistance to that, the warfare that may have risen up against you because of that. It feels like some of you are coming out of a time of again, like that, the energy harvesting calendar of the false matrix becomes really gnarly, like right after Leo season or towards the end of Leo season, because of the fight to play with your frequency to get you to relinquish the frequency that would be necessary for you to materialize, well, first of all, mature and materialize those codes that come through the 888 portal. And it feels like there's like two things happening right now. On the one hand, some of you have reached a milestone and it's unlocked a new level for you, and broken you out of certain contracts that you couldn't really get out of completely until you reached this milestone. And this is why this message is coming up for this other being, because their time is up. And very specifically, the 4/4 portal is going to bring some kind of annihilation to that contract because of the choices you've made to rise higher into yourself. So that's on the one side, and on the other side, and these things can work together or they can be separate, take it as it resonates, is this message coming through of having, fought for the right to hold on to who you are divinely and your own codes through this. And last year the 888 portal was even more lit, because it wasn't just an 88 portal, it was a number 8 year, so it was the 888 portal, and there were a lot of energies going on around it. 4 days prior was the new moon in Leo, then we had the 888 portal, then we had Mercury going retrograde, so there was a lot of stuff happening at that time. And I remember doing messages at that time about justice timelines coming in, and about how it was an important time to be true to self. I won't go too deep into those messages, but it feels like the door that the 888 portal opened into these justice timelines being alchemized is now shutting for some people, so with that being said, I'm going to get into some cards. I'm not going to be too long here. So I'm going to go into my Karmic Chronicles deck, one of my Karmic Chronicles decks. I have two. This is a later edition, but let's see what's going to come out here. This has been coming through a lot. I was going to do a whole separate message, but it wants to come through here. So the card that's come out is religious spirit, prayer, witchcraft. And I have been really feeling the energy of, I was going to do a whole other message. You guys can comment below if this is your story. But I've been feeling this energy of someone who comes from, maybe you've left a church, you've left some kind of religious group, or maybe you've come out to your family as being something other than the faith that they want you to be, but there's a group of beings that are fervently praying for you. And I've talked about this before, but it always bears repeating. Prayer is one of the most overlooked forms, the most overlooked, and one of the most overlooked and most potent forms of witchcraft that exist. And when I say witchcraft, I'm talking about fucked up witchcraft, because when people come together in these religious groups, they take on the mantle of being your god. It's highly narcissistic. They believe that they know what's right for you. They believe that they have their own beliefs religiously, that you can go to hell and yada yada yada, and so they start to pray all manner of things. I say this as a former born again Christian. Start to pray all manner of things, pray that your life falls apart so that you come to Christ. They'll pray that over people. And if you have been dealing with a lot of setbacks, a lot of things dying in your life, then you might want to make it a very common practice, especially on the day that that these beings meet up. So, for example, if you're a Christian, Sundays, or if people are more Orthodox, Saturdays, or if they're Jewish, Fridays, the main prayer days where people would come together and intercede, as they would say, on your behalf. You need to return those prayers to them, and you can even use a return to sender candle for that, also returning to them their prayers, because their desires and their wishes for you have nothing to do with who you are and what it is you're here to do. That has to do with their own wounding and their own fucked upness and their own desires and their own misplaced projections about who God is to you, etc., etc. It's just a whole bunch of ego and fear-based programming that was designed by the false matrix to keep souls stuck. So I say all of this, and I want to be I want to be specific when I tell you about the return to sender, because I know that some people don't like that. But all you're doing is shielding yourself from energy that doesn't belong in your fields. And if you want, I do this, but you don't have to, but you can return it with love. You know, there's no need not to return it with love. You can return it with love, and sometimes I return it also with the light they need to find their way back to themselves, so they can just stop fucking with other people and they can worry about themselves. Because that's what it comes down to. They need to really do the shadow work and figure out what it is about their own power that they're in so much fear about, that they feel the need to outsource their power to a system, to a group, to a false god, to be completely real, and to then feel that gives them the authority to wield their energy, their desire, their will over someone else's life. Okay, now what a lot of these beings are also, because what came out at the bottom is a legion of demons, and as I lift that up, I also have incest spirits. I'm not taking it, but this again is a connection to possibly family stuff. So a legion of demons. Now, what a lot of people don't realize is that these churches are connected to entities. And I did talk about this in a video that I did a few weeks ago that all of a sudden got wiped out, and it was uploading on YouTube. It suddenly just stopped and then erased itself. Very interestingly enough, so we'll see what happens today. But I was talking very specifically about energy harvesting through different churches and religions. All of the major organized religions, they were organized by the false matrix to lead you away from yourself and to get you to outsource your life force to entities that they've attached to these ideas of God that they've named. Which is why I will never say Jesus, I will always say Yeshua, because Yeshua the man is not the same as Jesus the entity that they have millions of people channeling their life force to. Okay, even the very pictures of him that come out that they try to propose are Yeshua are not him. It is an entity that has been created off of the collective consciousness's constant direction of their own life force and their own energy towards believing in this entity that they have brought to life, and is connected to other lower consciousness beings that are siphoning. Okay, so with the legion of demons, a lot of these people think that they're praying to source, they're praying to the creator, they're praying to God, but they're not. They're praying to an energy, an entity that has been created to intercept their connection, their true connection to source. Which is also, you see this not only in how in the gods that they were designed to fear, but also even in the structures of how they're able to get to that God. So you can't really get to God without an intermediary. It either has to be Jesus, or it has to be the priest or the imam, or somebody who apparently is a holy man, very rarely a holy woman, only recently so, but the holy man. And that is to obstruct the divine feminine creative flow also. That is to, these religions very specifically have their entities attached to the sacral chakra region, your sacred energies, as well as other parts of your energy field, but very specifically a lot of sacral chakra harvesting goes on through false spiritual practices, false light spirituality, as well as organized religion. And so I'm just going to give you a quick rundown so that you understand how this is actually a sacrifice ritual. So I'm going to use the born again Christian kind of template for church as an example, because you will find, and I've lived in different parts of the world and traveled to different parts of the world, and you will find that no matter where you go in the world, the template for the born again Christian service or any denomination for the most part is going to be the same no matter where you go in the world. And so how does it begin? You enter into the church, right? You begin raising up energy through worship. So they're instantly trying to connect to your emotional body, right? Raising up energy through worship. And then you'll see some people even start to already begin to cry and all that other stuff, right? And then they will emotionally manipulate you through tithes and offerings, right? So you got to give 10%. It doesn't matter how much you make, you've got to give 10%, and then God will take care of you. Take care of the church and God will take care of you, right? So then they extract your money from you, right? And then you have more worship, more praise and worship. And then, some of the songs that we literally were singing were like, I remember a song that I used to love in the church where we would say, I give myself away so you can use me. Think about that. I give myself away so you can use me. Think about what doors you're opening into your energy field by making bold statements like that with your hands raised in an environment very specifically designed to harvest you. Okay, and so then after more siphoning comes, more raising your emotions, raising you in your levels of excitement and devotion, because that's what the music is designed to do, right? Then they bring on the pastor, who then tells you about salvation or where it is you're going wrong, and then finally when he's done finished raising you into an even higher emotional state, where at this point you're willing to, it's almost orgasmic in nature, you're willing to give anything. And I say orgasmic because it expands your energy field in the same way an orgasm does, in order to take in something and also to give out something. And so by the time the pastor's finished finagling you now about your own soul, then you're ready to give yourself at the altar, right? The altar. You're ready to sacrifice yourself. Give yourself to Jesus, who is an entity. Give your life to Jesus, who is an entity. And so you go up to the altar and you cry and you say the prayer that they tell you to say, the prayer, and now you apparently are saved. But really what you've just done is you've attached your sacral energy very powerfully, your whole energy field, but especially your sacral energy, to an entity that needs to feed off of your sacred energy, and your ability to begin to materialize your divine blueprint on the earth is now thwarted. And the more you continue to show up and you give that energy and you show up at the altar and yada yada yada, the deeper the cording becomes to that energy. Okay, so it says your guardian and birthing angels are speaking to you. It's time for you to do some research about your guardian and birthing angels. And some of you also have guardian and birthing demons, because you are protected by the darkness and the light because of who you are and where it is you have the right to go. And therefore you need that protection. And there's a lot more of you that have that than I think know or sometimes would admit to that, but it's an important thing for you to know, because it's what liberates you into your highest cycles, is the knowledge of this. Okay, so yeah, there's a person who is manifesting in your energy. And then timeline jumping due to divine union or contract. So again, this is, like I said before, there are times when you reach certain milestones. There are times when you reach certain milestones on your journey, and that unlocks certain things. So for some of you, you are jumping right into a divine union or a divine union contract, whether that's romantic, business, a friendship, people that are here to help you actualize your destiny on earth, because these are like divine contracts that are ready to show up to you in their divinity too, right? So that's another thing coming through. And then at the bottom, very interestingly, we do have no way out, casting illusion. So if you feel like recently, and I want to say especially again, I want to go back to that 888 portal, because for some of you, this is where it began. This is where you began to pull in these higher contracts. And then because you were pushing past certain, programming barriers, and then frequency fences, and then the false matrix has all of these I don't know how to explain them, but energetically, it's like when you reach a certain point, it's like alarms go off in the false matrix, and all of their agent smiths and entities start to come out through other beings, etc., to try to thwart you and to stop you. And it's ultimately supposed to drive you crazy if you don't know how it really works, and to push you back into your place. So if you feel like all hell has broken loose since the 888 portal, it feels like something is coming to a head through the 4-4 gateway that's coming up in about I think next week sometime, maybe next Friday. And it was all to assist you into timeline jumping into these divine union contracts. And so right now, as always is the case, and I was speaking about the collective energy at the beginning, about how there's this there's a lot of death energies that are occurring right now, a lot of endings, a lot of this extraction vortex that the full moon in Virgo is taking us through, plus the eclipse portal, is like helping things to die that don't need to go forward, and the things that need to die that don't want to die are very clingy. And so if you are feeling that, if you're feeling the cling of things that you know need to die and you've put to death, but they're still trying to grab a hold of you, to go forward with you, and it doesn't even have to be something like that's obvious. You might just feel it. You might feel it in the way things have been moving for you. Then know that this is because you are, the energy is raising up in order to bring some kind of finality, some kind of closing. But you have to keep your frequency. You have to keep your frequency up in order to completely close this out. And also be aware that you have a lot of these religious entities that are trying to fuck with you also, because it seems that some of you have a group of beings who are trying to pray you back into submission to their idea for who it is they think you're supposed to be on the earth planes. And you need to call karmic justice on these fools also. I don't even care if some of them are innocent, because calling karmic justice on them just helps them to come back into proper alignment with their own true soul's story also. So don't be afraid to do that. Don't be afraid to stand in your power and to take back authority over your own energy field and your own destiny, when these beings are trying to pull you into lower realities that match their level of consciousness. You're not here to play those games. You're not here to abide by other people's desires or rules, etc. You're here to be who you are. You're here to rise into your divine contract. You've had many lifetimes of playing these fucking games and falling prey to them. This is not the lifetime where that story is going to continue. This is the fucking lifetime where that ends. Okay? And in many ways, they know this, which is why there's such intensity behind the need to kind of try to keep you trapped, and to make you also believe through the casting of illusion that you're kind of cornered in a situation and that there's no way out. That's not true. Do not succumb to that lie. Okay. I'm going to go into my herbal deck to close this out, because I've got to run. Just want to get some guidance for you quickly. 16:44 on my clock. We have lemongrass. It's come through before, it's come through again. I love lemongrass. Lemongrass opens roads, right? So it's a very powerful road opener, but it's a road opener that works on the emotional body. So it's very powerful to clear out stagnancies, to cleanse out the blocks within your own energy field, where these dying cycles, beings, energies, entities are trying to cling to you. That's where they're trying to that's what they're trying to magnify and get to grow again, are these places in your emotional field where either you might still have wounding, or you might have the residual remembrance of the wound, and it's that stagnancy that needs to be cleared, that emotion around your own experiences that needs to be processed. And lemongrass is very powerful for cleansing and clearing the emotional body, the psychic channels, so that you're able to actually see and move past the illusions that are being projected to try to keep you stagnant. And lemongrass is very powerful for attracting in positive energy. And also, I don't want to use positive, because positive and negative those are not the right words for it, but it attracts the energy that you desire and repels the energy that you don't want. It also repels astral insects. So this is another thing I've been noticing a lot in the past few weeks, and I've spoken to, like, I've talked to clients about it. A beautiful lady who is a very gifted energy healer by the name of Lumina, who has been just such a gift to me and to my collective. We were talking about this too, and she was seeing some of these things as she was clearing also. She has a lot of grid work, and pretty much there's been a lot going on in the 4D, so a lot going on in the dream space of these beings very specifically, where you're closing out these contracts with, like, showing up in dream time. And when they show up in dream time, they're not showing up to you as the people who you know materially. In other words, if they're people who you've had real issues with and they've been assholes to you, they're not showing up to you in that light. They're showing up to you docile. And what it is that they're really trying to play with your sentimentality to try to hook you again in dream time. And not only in dream time, but so you carry that through into your waking life, and you start to question yourself, and you start to think, oh, they weren't that bad, and yada yada yada. And that's not where you need to be right now. We're here to love and to accept people for who they are, but we're not here to continue to drag out cycles with people because of that emotional draw. So be very, very aware of these beings that are entering into your dream right now, and they're playing on your sentiments, right? Another thing I'm noticing is that some of them are appearing that way because they're appearing to you in the dream space as who they are when they are stripped of entity influence. But just because they're showing up to you, and this is whether they're conning you or not, it doesn't matter either way, because just because they're showing up to you in the dream space in the truer nature of who they are without the entity attachments doesn't mean that's what they're playing in your material reality. Okay, so be aware of that. I had a dream about a certain celebrity back in November of 2023, a week before one of his accusers came out. And I saw him also in that light. I saw him completely stripped of all of the entities he'd taken on to do the shit that he's been doing in the false matrix. And he was like a fearful, scared little boy. He was scared as shit. And so they might show up to you and they might come across to you as being afraid or needing protection, etc., etc. Don't succumb to it. Okay. At the bottom of the deck we have jasmine, sensuality and lust energy, and connecting with past lives. So all of this lemongrass and jasmine is also about the reclamation of the emotional body and your sacral energies, especially from these entities, but also from these past life cycles that you've had with these people. So this might be a good time for you, because if this is your message, to do work around reclamation of your sacral chakra energies very specifically. And if you need help with that, I will put the link below. I have a sacral energy recall decree, and I have it both in audio format and I have it in written. It is available in my Ko-Fi shop for free or donation of choice. So you can check that out and see if it vibes with you. And I always encourage people to use my decrees also as templates to write your own. Okay, so I do have to run because I have an appointment, but I hope that this reading was helpful and insightful, inspiring, and it gave you some answers in these downloads. For all information on how to work with me, you can find that in the description box below and in the comment section. I am available for soul recovery sessions, for 60 and 90-minute soul recovery sessions. I still offer Tarotstrology readings, not reports, only readings. And I also do divine alignment readings. Okay, so you can book soul recovery directly with me through my Ko-Fi shop. If you're interested in divine alignment or Tarotstrology readings, please shoot me an email, solaraspeaks@proton.me. If you want to join me this Saturday for the Lilith Tarotstrology group Q&A, It's going to be fun. It's going to be informative. It's going to be empowering. So I invite you to sign up for that, okay? And I'll put the information for that also below. I want to say thank you so much to all of you who are supporting me over on solara.xyz. If you would like to have more daily contact with me, that's where that happens. So Daily Alchemy comes out every day through that platform. That's a free offering. And then I also have membership tiers where you can have access to more of my written work, my audio work. I do some readings every week for my members, Word for Your Week. It's all about helping you get through these ascension energies and helping you to heal on your own terms. Okay, so feel free to join me over on solara.xyz. I look forward to seeing more of you there. What else? Thank you for your donations. You guys don't know how much it means to me and to my children, because I am a mom. So thank you so much to those of you who treat me to coffee. Some of you are just so generous, and I just wanted to say thank you. When I get donations, I do my best to, if I have an email address or a way of contact, to write back and to say thank you for as long as I see it. But if for any reason you've never heard back from me and you've donated, I do want to say thank you profoundly. And for those of you who would like to support and to donate, the links to do so will also be in the description box and the comment section below. But I will be back again soon. I'm sending you guys all so much love. Bye.